Almost 5 years after the release of Valentine, indie rock band Snail Mail, who is led by frontwoman Lindsay Jordan, who is also the vocalist, they're back with a new album called Ricochet, and it's full of glamorous indie pop and solid indie rock tunes, as well as a mixture of grand string arrangements and blissful vocals on top of some pretty nice quirky production choices. I've been a fan of Snail Mail since I discovered Lush many years ago, and after the release of Valentine, I was kind of torn because I wasn't the biggest fan of that album. Now, I understand Lindsay had a lot of trouble with her vocal cords. I mean, you can sort of tell a lot of the songs have these strained vocals, which I do empathize with. I feel like a lot of the ideas on her previous album, Valentine, were great, but they just weren't executed perfectly. Even though I loved songs like Valentine, the title track, and Ben Franklin, I just couldn't find myself connecting with the rest of the album. Luckily, she's had her vocal cord surgery now, and she's been on an upwards trajectory since then. We first heard this with the lead single Dead End, which is a great lead single. It's just a fun, consistent indie rock track. I actually really loved it to begin with, but I feel like I found myself listening to it less and less as time went on. Maybe it's just nothing extraordinary, or maybe I just enjoyed the rest of the album more, such as the first track, Tractor Beam, which I think is actually amazing. It's also got this bit of a country twang to it, and like I mentioned previously, it's got these string arrangements which I think work fantastic alongside Lindsay's vocals, which are now really different from what we've heard in previous albums. I mean, it feels like we almost get a new version of Lindsay Jordan on each album. We get this sort of love infatuated and struggling with relationships era in the first album Lush, with these sweet, innocent vocals. In Valentine, we sort of get these kick-ass and more rebellious vocals. And then here we're back onto sort of more sweet sounding, but also more matured and evolved sounds alongside, like I said previously, string arrangements and evolved drum beats, percussions, these really slick and clean sounding guitars. Songs like My Maker have really fantastic melodies and breezy guitars, which reminds me of 2000 summer days. Those images really portrayed through emotive arrangements and inspirations such as the Cranberries or Sixpence None the Richer, for example. You also hear this on the song Light on Our Feet, which I think is brilliant. It's got great lyricism, and again, you can really hear the inspirations. It's just a really solid indie track, which I do find myself enjoying more the more I listen to it. Cruise is a track I didn't find myself connecting with. It sort of feels like a part two to My Maker. I feel like even the guitar riff is slightly similar, but I do really like the percussions here. I just feel like the song never really reached its full potential. It didn't really go anywhere. Agony Freak might be one of my favorites though. Again, I love the electric guitars here. Even the bass is super solid. I love the distortions throughout the chorus. And it's even got that like turntable, lo-fi production throughout it, which feels really cool. So a few songs in now, and I think to myself, I think maybe I'm enjoying the songs that feature these grand brass orchestral instrumentations and string arrangements. I think it works really well with this new indie sound and slightly more matured vocal style that Lindsay is going for. I think, as is the theme of the album, it really shows evolution and growing up. Butterfly, again, probably being one of my favorite songs on here, maybe behind Tractor Beam potentially. Great guitar work and drum work yet again. I love the bass line alongside the rhythm as well. And it's even got its own guitar solo, which sounds really cool. It's really solid and definitely one of my contenders for potentially Song of the Year as well. Then you have Nowhere, which is decent enough as a track, though I feel like, funny enough, it doesn't really go anywhere. It kind of goes nowhere. It does stay true to its name, but no, for real, I mean, it is a lovely track, but I think it's just a bit surface level. On the other hand, again, we have Hell, which is, again, a really fantastic sort of indie pop track with some fantastic indie rock elements. It's got a grand chorus which gets stuck in your head. It's really like sort of fast paced compared to the other tracks here. And it's got probably one of the best outros of any song here on this album. I did want to like the title track more, but I did almost place it as my least favorite track. It did take some few listens to get used to for me. That being said, it does have strings, which I did say I was a fan of earlier. It does have lovely vocals as well and introspective lyrics, which do go pretty well together for a track. And then the outro track, Reverie, did have me a bit worried in the first half. I was sort of worried it would be a bit of a downer, a bit of a letdown when it comes to these grand songs that should usually place last in my opinion. I do like an album that ends with a bang, but the energy was a bit more slow. However, my mind did change when I heard the second half of this song. And actually, to round up the whole album's theme, I do feel like it's got a really solid flow, and this song itself does feel like evolution. From what I gathered from the song, it sort of feels like you're stuck daydreaming about, what life could be like, but you're sort of stuck in this motion rather than living life in the present. And then the overall song just feels like you're floating on water towards the end before it just ends with a calm ending. It might be a bit abrupt, but I still really liked it overall. So, is this Snail Mail's best album? Potentially. From what I've seen online, I do think it's a bit underrated. I mean, we do have a lot of consistency and solid string arrangements. The instruments are consistently pretty strong as well. The vocals may not be what we heard from Lindsay on her debut album Lush, but why do they need to be? I mean, clearly this album's about evolution and moving forward. I do think it's a lot more consistent and enjoyable than Valentine, which I never really find myself coming back to apart from the title track these days. I do think Lush maybe has higher highs, but Lush also has lower lows than this album. Like I said, I think this new album Ricochet is actually really consistent for an indie rock album these days, and it might be one of the best I've heard in the past couple years. That being said, it does have some flaws, such as, the songs never really going above surface level too much. There's nothing like amazingly extraordinary on this album that really takes it out of its genre too much. I do hope Lindsay experiments more with these string arrangements and maybe works on, taking her voice out of her comfort zone in future songs. But she's clearly reached a phase of acceptance, and this album almost feels like a therapy session. Even though some of the songs kick ass, it does still feel calm and collected, which I do really enjoy. But overall, I still think Lush is probably Snail Mail's best album, but this is a very close behind. And I really respect Snail Mail for this album. It's actually better than I expected. My favorite tracks are Butterfly, Track to Beam, Light on Our Feet, Agony Freak. Hey, that rhymed a little bit. Also Hell, Reverie, and Dead End, with my least favorite tracks being Cruise and Nowhere. So like I said, although this album is nothing extraordinary that sort of takes you out of your seat, it's still really solid and consistent and fun. So for that reason, I'm giving it a solid, decent 7.5 out of 10. So what did you think of this brand new album, Ricochet by Snail Mail? Did you enjoy it? Were you a bit let down? Or did you think it was some of Snail Mail's best work? Let me know in the comments below, and also let me know what your favorite track was. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more content like this, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.